Welcome to the podcast, Rob. It's absolutely brilliant to have you as a guest today.
Thanks for having me, Lesley.
So I'm going to ask you the same question I ask all my guests. What is your money story?
Wow. So my money story is like a wild marriage.
I've had one of those.
Hopefully only one.
Only one. Very happily married now for a second time.
So it's had honeymoons and children and some challenging times as well. So I'm fortunate enough now to, be well off financially. And I've I'm writing my 20th book, and many of them are on business and money. So I guess I've gone from being a student to being an educator of money. My book, Money, is one of the best-selling books in the UK on the subject. But in 2005, I was broke. And I was 50 grand in debt. And my relationship with money, my story of money then, was all wrong and negative and warped by society and my upbringing. And I really did think that money made you a bad person and it changed you for the worse. And I thought that in order to be rich, you either had to be lucky or born into royalty or wealth, or that you had to do illegal things and be a criminal or a drugs dealer. I was convinced that this was the only way to make money. And of course, with that belief, assuming you want to be a good person and you don't want to be those things, you're always going to repel money because you're never going to want to be that. And if you think to make what it takes to make money is being that, well, then you'll just settle for being broke. And that was my story for 25 years. Well, obviously, while I was sort of in my adult life. And then on December the 15th, 2005, my dad had a nervous breakdown in his pub and he was beaten up by the police and sectioned, and it was in front of all of his customers. And, I was 50 grand in debt and my dad had worked really hard his whole life and made some money and lost it and made some money and lost it. He'd put me through school. He'd put me through university. He'd always supported me, first house, first car, but I couldn't get out of this broke mindset and this victim. I was a victim, Lesley, because I thought that, the world was against me and life was unfair. And, the monetary system was unfair. And to a certain degree it is, but that's not the attitude you want to have. But yet I'd been raised by an entrepreneurial dad. But then the school system, I think, had beaten all of that entrepreneurial flair out of me. And after December the 15th, with desperation and shame, I started taking my life much more seriously and started to just, because I had nothing more to lose, I thought, well, I've just got to try. And I went to a property networking event and I met my business partner there, who I've been with for 17 years. And we struck it off and I started to learn about successful people and money and property and business because my circle started to change. And I realized that the story that I believed was the truth about money was a story of fiction created in my own mind by my upbringing and media and society. And that there was a different story that could be told. And that was that, billionaires give away billions in wealth. And, many of the great schools and libraries that have been built by, Carnegie and Vanderbilt. And that, Warren Buffett is giving billions to charity, and that you can make money and do good in the world. And that actually making money, anyone can be successful, even if you're starting broke. If you have a good idea, if you work hard, if you start a company, if you take some risk, if you get around the right people and get the right knowledge, that things can change. And so I started to change my mindset. I started to change my environment. And so then my story started to change. And if you fast forward to now, my story around money is I love money. I write books on money. I think money is abundant. I think that anyone in the world can make a good living from themselves. I think money is a brilliant tool, for leverage and speed of transacting and living. I think that we all deserve to be rich. And it's our responsibility, though, to make sure that we take what is ours and what we deserve. And, I've done more than 200 million in sales since, and I have 340 property units, rental units, and 1,350 plus tenants. And my company that I'm sat here in might do 23 million in sales this year. And, I feel like I'm just starting. I've had the old story and the new story. So my story is changing all the time. It's writing itself. And I think that's one of the things I really learned about the story of money, is that you can write your own story. You can write your own autobiography while you're alive, because money is not what it is. It is what you make it. It is the meaning that you put on it. And so that's the short version of my story around money. I love money. I have a love affair with money. I think we can all do good in the world with more money. Money is the fuel for all good, not just the root of all evil.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What lesson do you wish that you had learned quicker about money?
That money is simply a tool. Because what we do is we take money and we judge.
Yeah.
So I always carry about £1,000 on me. You never know when you might need it, sometimes a bit more. And even me just pulling out £1,000 in my pocket will immediately trigger people to judge me. But let's think about this polymer. It's not even cotton anymore, it's a polymer. We think that this is everything, when in fact this is a universal medium of exchange, a unit of account, a store and value of worth. It is a tool. It does not judge, it does not love, it does not hate, it is not conscious. Humanity creates tools to make life easier. I'll give you an example of one, Lesley, a hammer.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing with a hammer. A hammer's a really good tool. It's a pretty good invention. It solves quite a lot of problems. Number one is you can hammer in a nail with a hammer, much easier than if you were to try and do it with your hand. Then if you make a mistake, you can lever out a nail with a hammer, much more easily than with your fingernails. But here's the thing. You can also take that hammer and you can smash someone's skull in.
Yeah.
But what we don't do, society doesn't go, hammers are evil. Let's, put that hammer on trial. We know it's a tool.
Yeah.
And
really
it's how
analogy.
the human uses the tool as to the purpose and the functionality of the tool. It's exactly the same with money. It's just a tool. Yeah. Yet society judges and, religious dogma states that the love of money is the root of all evil. No. Money is a tool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Humanity is the root of all evil.
And what we do with it. Yeah, totally agree with you. So you mentioned there about money people use money to judge others. Did you ever feel judged for money? Do you worry now about being judged for the amount of money that you have?
Okay, so two questions there. Do I ever feel judged?
Yeah.
And do I worry about being judged?
Yeah.
So the answer is yes and no.
Yeah.
So do I feel judged? Yes, because we all judge. You're judging me, I'm judging you, every watcher and listener is judging. Do I like these people? Do I like the conversation? Is it worth my time? Are they good people? Can I learn from them? So we're all judging all the time. But what a judgment is it's a mind read of a situation that we don't have all the information from. Because, by the way, once you know people for many years, it's not a judgment, it's information, it's knowledge.
Yeah.
So we judge to stay safe. Oh, are they a threat? Are they safe? So people judge all the time. So yes, I feel judged because people judge all the time. Do I have a problem with being judged? No, because we all judge. And people are like, oh, well, people are so judgmental. Well, judgmental people are judgmental. We all judge. So it's normal.
Yeah.
And this is why we judge money, because we all judge. Now, am I worried about it? No, because we all do it. So if we all do it, why should I be worried about it? And look, Lesley, you're going to judge me if I'm poor, and you're going to judge me if I'm rich. So I might as well be fucking rich, because if you're going to judge me anyway,
exactly. Yeah.
I might as well be rich, happy, doing good in the world, because I'm going to get judged anyway. So no, I don't, it doesn't bother me at all, because it's what humans do. Now look, Lesley, I want to share this with you because I've not shared this in many places, but I think this is a brilliant exercise for people to do when it comes to money judgments. So what you have to realize, I believe, as one of the most prominent authors on money in this country, I believe that you have to understand what money is and what your relationship with it is. Yeah. If you want to be successful and rich, of course, if you don't carry on being ignorant. And money is not what you think it is, but money is what you think it is. And what I mean by that is, what it actually is, most people get wrong. But what you think it is real to you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah.
So it is and it isn't what you think it is. It's a bit of a paradox, but bear with me. So I'm going to do you an exercise. Everyone should do this to test if you've got good relationship and good beliefs around money or not. So everyone stop. If you're in the car, stop and just do this exercise. Imagine you go to the best house in your town or city or village. On the best street, you're driving the car down the best street and you stop outside the best house and have a look at it. Is it a mansion? Does it have a load of land? How many cars are in the drive? Have a look and see it in your mind. And then ask yourself, who owns that house? And now think about what kind of person owns that house. Do that. And I'll give everyone a few seconds to do that.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. You don't know who owns that house. You don't know where that house is. It's a fictional exercise. Yet in your mind, you just painted a picture of the kind of person that's rich. So now I would ask everyone to think about what picture did they paint in their mind, i.e. what fantasy did they create? Now, 17 years ago, I'd have parked outside there and gone, well, that's where the drug dealer lives down there. And, that greedy, evil bastard in there, no wonder he's got dogs to protect from his criminality. And this would be, but I don't know who lives in the house. But now I'd assume, okay, well, that's probably an entrepreneur taking a lot of risk, struggled a lot. They might have built their way up. They might have been born in Peterborough and built all the way up from the worst house to the best house. They probably know something. I better knock on the door and see what they can teach me. Which is true. Well, neither, because we're just doing a fictional exercise. But what you think about the person who lives in that house is what you think about money.
And can also be what you think about yourself in terms of what you are capable of achieving and reflecting into that image what you don't think you're necessarily capable of being, of earning, of owning as well. So I definitely think that our relationship with money is a real reflection of our relationship with ourselves and our insecurities. And I am sure for lots of people listening there, through that exercise, lots of their insecurities will have come up with regards to that relationship.
Yeah, I think you make a good point there, Lesley. For example, someone could go, well, I could never own a house like that. And, they must have had really rich parents. Or and they could put themselves down in the process, because I believe that the universe is a mirror and it reflects back to you what you put out to it. Yeah. And so if I say that self-worth equals net worth. So if you have low self-worth, you have low net worth. If you're not confident in yourself, you're not going to attract confident people. So you're absolutely right. The exercise of who lives in the house is actually like putting a mirror in front of yourself and asking you, what do you believe about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. What would you do if, for whatever reason, all of your wealth was taken away from you tomorrow?
I would find the bastards and try and get it back. Of course, the stock answer to this question is, well, you can take my money, but you can't take my knowledge. And I would start again with the knowledge I've got, and I would grow 10 times as quick. And that is also true.
Yeah.
But I'd also have to figure out, what am I doing wrong? Why is all my money disappearing? Do I need to fix certain problems? Do I need to move? If all my money is going in tax, do I need to move to Lisbon or Dubai? So I like to think that I'd be self-aware enough to figure out, if I figured out what can help make me money, I've got to be able to figure out what's losing me money.
Yeah, no, that's very, very true. And from your perspective, given the success that you have had to date, what drives you now? What keeps motivating you to do what you do, in terms of, you've written 20 books. I know you've got several more books that are coming out soon. You've done so many podcast episodes. You've interviewed so many people. What keeps you wanting to get up in the morning and do what you do?
Well, I think that life is amazing and there's so much to experience in life. And maybe we're here for eternity, or maybe we're here for 85 years, or maybe we're here for less. I don't know. And I'm not going to risk chilling and doing nothing to find out that I've wasted my entire existence. So I want to live a meaningful life. I want to live it to its fullest. And I want to help as many people on this planet get better financial education and knowledge. And I want to make an ever increasing amount of money. And I want to be an ever increasing important person and do an ever increasing amount of good in the world, and challenge myself to grow every day, to always hope and aspire to be better tomorrow than I am today. This is life. I just want to live it.
Yeah. And what's the hardest thing for you? What have you not achieved yet that you hope you will be able to, but you've not necessarily got the confidence you will?
I really want to launch my OnlyFans, but I'm finding that really hard. No. Yeah, look, this is a good question. I'm a bit of a go-getter, in that whatever I want and need in my life, I'll go and get it. So I don't really feel any scarcity or lack, and anything I might make a mistake on, I try and do my best and try not to live in the past and live in regret. Probably just more of what I'm trying to achieve. For example, my podcast is nearly 1,000 episodes. Rob.team has nearly 10,000, all-time members. I'm writing my 20th book, and constantly trying to get better and sell more books and get more members of Rob.team and go more viral on social media. So it's not always about doing new things I've not tried. I don't really want to do too many more new things. There's just too many things to do. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. So at the moment, maybe our biggest challenge is staffing within the business, because there's been a bit of a culture shock since lockdown, and I don't think that the work culture is anything like it was 3 years ago. I think that's been ruined by the government. So that's a challenge. And also, social media and trying to maintain relevance and virality and engagement when you've got a lot of the young kids that are smashing it because they probably know the internet better than an old bastard like me. And because the algorithms change all the time. And we had a brand meeting today, and we're reevaluating our strategy for about the 18th time in the last 4 years to evolve with ever-changing social media. So, these are ongoing challenges that I have. But to me, that's also fun and exciting to do. We're going to interview John Fury tomorrow. We've been trying to sort out getting the flight so we can go and see will.i.am in San Francisco.
Oh, I love him. Him.
He's brilliant. And, we're just always trying to hustle and make shit happen.
Which is amazing, because I know you've retired, I believe, several times. So clearly retirement doesn't suit you, that you enjoy doing what you do.
Yeah, retirement isn't for me. I think retiring for me is not stopping. It's doing something else.
Yeah. Yeah. And I totally agree with you. And I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, we feel exactly the same. I think once you're doing what you really enjoy doing, and this what really motivates me to do what I do, is I really believe we spend so much of our time working, we really need to find something we enjoy doing rather than something we endure purely because of the paycheck that's at the end of it.
Yeah, life's too short.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I know your catchphrase is, if you don't risk anything, you risk everything. What is it you are prepared to risk to keep doing what you do?
I'm certainly prepared to risk ridicule. I'm prepared to risk judgment. I'm prepared to spend lots of money, not all my money, but lots of money. What more is there to risk? I'm not prepared to risk
my next question.
everything.
Yeah.
Not prepared to risk and sacrifice, for example, a good family life. You know, I mostly work from home, and I want to be around when my kids are 18 and 20, they'll be gone, and I wish they were back. So I'm actually not, you know, many people in entrepreneurship, it's like, you've got to do whatever it takes and you've got to make all these sacrifices. I am not prepared to not see my kids grow up. So it's yes, entrepreneurs have a good risk appetite, but there are things I'm not prepared to risk either. But you know what? I take lots of risks of security, risks of judgment and reputation with our content. You know, some of our guests, Jordan Peterson, David Icke, Katie Hopkins, Andrew Tate, you know, these are risky guests who we could be cancelled and shut down. And, you know, my content around what's wrong with the world and how I think that, you know, many things like the tax system and the debt and who controls the world is really wrong. But I'm prepared to risk to stand up for things that are right. So, yeah, I think I'm prepared to take some risks.
And given what is going on, you know, in the world currently and the nervousness lots of people are feeling with regards to the economic situation, etc., what advice would you, and this is an opportunity for me, for you to be on my platform and for you to talk to my listeners with regards to, you're a successful man, you are very wealthy, you have an extremely successful platform. What would be your advice to people listening to this to successfully navigate their way through what is going on right now?
I would say, number one, learn how to build independent personal wealth. And I can talk about that if you want. Number two would be, make sure that you are a free, independent, critical thinker. So it's like your mind and your money. So the problem with society and media right now is there's so many media platforms, there's so much propaganda in mainstream media, and there's so much power and control from Blackguard, who are Vanguard and BlackRock, that it's very easy to roll over and become a sheep and not have an independent mind. So I just did a live today. It's going wildly viral right now. And in the title I put, I was a coward, but not anymore. And what I did is I discussed the 7 or 8 great scams in the world: the monetary system, debt, taxes, the food industry, the health industry, mental health, wokeism, media, you know, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And I challenged everyone who was on to be critical and independent in your thought process and stand up and speak out for things that are so clearly right or wrong for humanity. And I think we must continue to do this, because otherwise in the end we roll over and accept our fate.
Yeah.
And that's no way to live. And we put these people in power, and if we don't speak up, we're not holding them accountable. So imagine if 5 billion people went, this is wrong, things would change.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that has to start with you.
Mm.
But that's a risk, because you can get cancelled, shut down, and all of this. So that's one thing. And then managing your finances really well. So learning about money, learning about the difference between good and bad debt, investing in assets that produce recurring income, using your social media as an asset to generate multiple streams of income, investing in the right things that aren't controlled by government and aren't, state pension. That's just nothing. Private pension, they charge 1.5% management fees a year. That's nearly 40% over 20 years.
Yeah.
Build your own pension, invest in property, invest in gold. And this is why I write so many books. I mean, I've just finished Money Matrix. I'm just writing Money Loves You, because once you're independently, personally wealthy, you have freedom and autonomy and control as much as one can have in the world that we live in. These are the two things I think it's vital that you do.
Yeah. And do you feel comfortable being disruptive, or do you feel you should be disruptive because of the position that you're in?
I would say it depends. So, I feel comfortable being on social media, being interviewed, doing talks, lives, going out on the street and talking to people and getting rejected. And I feel comfortable being an entrepreneur. I do.
Yeah.
Do I feel fully comfortable? Maybe what some would deem to be doing exposés on, very powerful influences in the world. Not really. That makes me feel a bit uncomfortable, because on the one hand, I think I am doing real good and I am helping people. And on the other hand, I think maybe I'm, like a little bit of a gnat on their testicles. And, are they going to squash me? I don't know. I mean, it depends how big one gets. And that is, to a certain degree, that can make you feel uncomfortable. I think you have to have a clear set of values. And I think you have to do what's right, or what you believe to be right. And I think that this disgusting taxation and the NHS being completely underfunded and a massive mess, and the lockdown and 1 trillion of our pounds wasted, and how we're all being poisoned and fed sugar, and how the 40% of the nation is overweight, and then how we're diagnosed and given drugs that sort out the symptoms but not the problem, when really it's pretty simple, isn't it, to manage your weight? Do 20,000 steps a day, go to the gym regularly, eat well, move a lot, eat equal amount of calories to what you burn, and you won't put on any weight. Yeah. Eat consciously and eat good food. But the problem is this doesn't make billion-dollar corporations. And I think this information is really important. But it does make me somewhat uncomfortable at times talking about this and writing about this and having a big platform. A lot of people say, Rob, you've got a big platform, you've got to use it. And I'm using it, and they applaud me for that. Yeah. But a lot of people are like, Rob, be careful, because this is how Andrew Tate started, and look at him now. And, I think about that. And look, I'm not out for gunning anyone. I just want the world to be a better place. And I just think that, we should be doing the right thing for humanity. And those that are need to be supported, and those that aren't need to be held to account. Many of the politicians that ran our country in lockdown should be in prison now. Instead, they're earning £150,000 an hour in a keynote speech. There's no accountability. Yeah. It's wrong. It's criminal. 1% of all theft in the UK gets prosecuted.
I know, 1%.
Theft is basically legal now. That's wrong.
Yeah.
This shit is wrong.
Yeah.
And I think it must be said. Because if I don't say it, and people who have a platform don't say it, no one will say it.
Yeah, no, totally agree.
But it's a bit scary. I've got children. I've got a family. I'm a normal human. You know, I don't want to be cancelled. I don't want to be assassinated.
So does the responsibility of having that platform, of being in the position you are, does that make you uncomfortable?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I like having the responsibility of being a successful human and being valuable. I like that. I want the responsibility. And of course, it's my choice what I say. You know, I've just got to keep doing what I think is right and then navigating the world accordingly. And if I'm becoming a bit of a nuisance to the system, I'm sure they'll let me know. And then I've got to make a decision, haven't I?
Yeah.
Maybe there's a way I can be valuable and rein it in slightly. Or maybe I need to double down and do it even more. I don't know. I'm just always, you know, finding out these things.
Yeah. And how do you think we make the impact that we need to make to turn around all these things that many of us are not comfortable with? Can we do it, or is it going to be incumbent on our children to do it?
No, I think all change starts with you. Be the change you want to see in the world.
Yeah.
All change starts with you. Humanity collectively has to take responsibility, but that's a collective group of 8 billion individuals. We put the people in power. We must be responsible for holding them to account. So no, it's not our children's responsibility. It's ours here and now. We must take responsibility. We must be the change we want to see in the world.
Yeah.
We must lead by example.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not enough people do.
Yeah. And would you extend that to us being the change we need to see, but also ensuring as parents, when we are parenting, that we reflect that to our children as well, so that responsibility ripples through as a norm rather than as a reaction to what's going on around us?
Yeah, because if I'm saying the change needs to start with us, that is all of us.
Yeah.
So you can't go, oh, the change needs to start with me, and then not instill that same ethic into your children. Because this is the problem. A lot of people are raising kids to be participating rather than competing, and, you know, a little bit weak and woke. We have to, I believe, look, parenting is hard and complicated, and, you know, I'm no guru, and even the gurus aren't gurus. No. Children are a great challenge. They're also amazing. What I think great parenting is, my humble opinion of this, is preparing our children to be able to adapt and evolve to our changing world, i.e., we make our children most ready for life. Too much support and weakness and wokeism means they're going to get a massive culture shock when they get out in the real world, and it breaks them. And of course, too much hardship and abuse, you know, beats our children down and ruins them. So we need to equally support and challenge them. We need to make them as independent, not dependent, and as mature, not immature, as we possibly can, knowing that it's a hard job. So anything we can do to teach our world, how our children, how the world really is, not a fantasy, not that it's harder than it is or easier than it is, but it is how it is. And so things like being personally responsible and understanding that money is a tool, and it's something that you can go and earn if you learn the ethics and values and skills required. This is how we should be raising our children. But the problem is, we're raising our children to be reflections of ourselves. Now, it's difficult because, you know, there's my wife, and she's got strong values, and she's trying to raise her kids, which are also mine, with those strong values. And then there's me, and I have very clear and different values, and I'm trying to raise my kids that way. And that's a conflict potentially. And then the kid just wants to be themselves. And then they go to school, and the teachers are trying to imprint and impose their beliefs. And then the media is imprinting and imposing its beliefs. And so our children have got this massive influence coming from all sides, and they're just trying to figure out who they are.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge. And so as a family unit, you want to try and be in some kind of unison and work together and get the best of both of, what you bring as a parent. This is why, obviously divorce is really hard, because you divorce and then there's, other people that are getting involved in raising your children. Yeah. And this is, one of the reasons why we're so messed up. The breaking of the family unit means, that children are now either not being raised or being raised by 4 or 5 different people, not 2. And then because affordability is so bad, you need 2 incomes to get a mortgage now, not 1. So now both parents are having to work. So the children are often not being raised, or raised by nannies, or being chucked into nursery. And it's all linked.
Yeah, interesting. No, I don't disagree with you. So last question. What would Rob today say to Rob, who was £50,000 in debt? Because there will be people listening to this podcast who feel very uncomfortable with the level of debt they are in right now. So the advice you would give to yourself, I think, would be really helpful.
I would say, you can do this. You're good enough. You're more than capable. You have the hustle. You've learned a lot of things in your life. You're a very valuable person. Get out there. Don't give up. Figure out what you're good at and work on that and get better at that. And soon enough, you'll get the rewards. That's what I would say. I don't think the younger me had enough belief in myself.
Right. And I think that is the thing that I think, as parents, as adults, as schools, etc., that is one of the things that we really clearly need to be working on, because I agree with you. I think self-belief is more important than a lot of the knowledge that is given to children, because with self-belief you can do anything, you can learn anything, you can go and find the right teachers, but it's having that confidence to go and be curious, to ask those questions, to not be concerned about how other people might judge you. So I think that's a really good message. So before we finish, I know you are writing a number of books on your favourite subject and my favourite subject at the moment. So can you share a little bit more about that, the timeline, what's happening?
Yeah, so I've just finished Money Matrix, but it needs to go to the publishers. They need to edit it. So it's going to be mid-2024 by the time that's out. I'm doing a bit of a cheeky, and I'm writing another book, Money Loves You, and I'm trying to get that out at the end of 2023.
So lots of writing going on. So how can people connect with you, Rob?
Well, I'm really easy to find, because if you just search my name, Rob Moore, into any social media channel, into Google, on Amazon, you'll find my books, my podcasts, and everything. Where we connect often, Lesley, is in rob.team. So I have a platform called rob.team. I think it's really important that people understand now that you need your own platforms, because you can get cancelled from social media at any time. So if people want a guaranteed way to consume content from me, to stay engaged in the community, rob.team is my platform to help people start and scale their business, make, manage, and multiply money. And it's less than 22 pence a day. You can cancel anytime, no ongoing contract. So if you just type in rob.team, I think that's probably, out of all, that's probably the best place to connect with me. Because I control that platform. I have 305,500 people on Facebook, and sometimes 5,000 people see my content. What about the 300 other 1,000 people? So to connect with me, it's rob.team.
Brilliant. And those details will, of course, be in the show notes, so people can easily find you if, for whatever reason, they don't remember the name Rob Moore, which I'm sure will not happen. Mm-hmm. So thank you very, very much for coming on today. I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. And as I say, a big thank you again. Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Lesley.
Take care.